kind of sweet breakfast meats are you doing?
For your information, this is me being creative.
Hello there! This video covers the process that I like to use for making glass materials, partial transparency. I had made a few models in the past that made use of partial transparency, but I really just wanted to kind of refine the process and record it here. What I've done is created sort of a test window pane, a very high poly model that contains displacement modifiers on the glass bits itself, so you can see there's sort of some ripples and some sine waves. And this is just so that I can bake normal maps from these mesh, and it'll create that displacement effect that you'll see later. It'll be quite a bit stronger, very noticeable. This model makes use of two materials within the M3. The first one is just a standard material using the alpha blend type, and that's to allow us to make use of the partial transparency, the major effect for the glass itself. The second material will be a displacement material that's added to the batch on the M3. That'll be to add sort of a faux refraction that's caused by the glass as well. I'll start with the first set of textures here for the first material that I was mentioning. That's that standard material. The first texture you can see here, this is the diffuse texture, and you might think it looks pretty dark for glass, but you have to remember most of this is going to be transparent for the most part, and so this diffuse texture just contains a lot of the irregularities and imperfections of the glass surface, some grit, some dirt, some scuffed up marks. The second texture is the specular layer, and this is pretty bright for the most part. Glass has pretty high specularity. And we have the gloss layer here. This is very bright, and this is because gloss has a very high crispy reflection value. The second to last texture is the alpha map, and you can get a lot more fancy with these, but I've kept it pretty simple in this case. It's probably just a total fill of 75% black or so, and this is just going to allow the material to be almost completely transparent, but still visible to some extent, so you can see specular highlights and normal information and all that good stuff. The next texture are the normal maps, and these were baked from those mesh deformities that I showed you earlier. This will give some surface quality to the glass itself. So I'll save all of these out as direct draw surface files and move on to the next set of textures. So these two textures are going to be used for the displacement material that'll be set up for the M3 within Blender. This first one is a height map or a strength map that was created from the ambient occlusion when I baked the glass material. And this will allow just for some displacement, some distortion breakup within the displacement material. And the last texture map for this glass material is, again, it's the same normal that was baked from the mesh here. And this normal will help drive the displacement effect as well on that second material. And we'll go ahead and save both of these texture maps as direct draw surface and move over to Blender. So here in Blender, the first material we're going to want to make for the glass is that standard material, the alpha blend type, and that's going to that'll contain most of the texture maps, and it will have the partial transparency effect. And for this material, we're going to be creating a diffuse layer, a specular layer, a gloss layer, an environment layer, an environmental mask layer, an alpha mask layer, and a normal layer. This is all basically just a standard simulated roughness workflow. The only big difference is that you're going to want to change the material blend type to alpha blend here. The second material that we're going to set up for the glass is a displacement material. And this one's pretty simple. It just contains a normal layer, which is the exact same normal map that we're using for the first material, and a strength layer, which is that strength map, height map that we created from the ambient occlusion earlier. So we'll just plug both of those in. And one thing to note about that strength map is that similar to a gloss map or an alpha mask layer, that strength layer needs to read the texture map from a singular color channel. Now that both materials for the glass are completely set up, we can assign them to the model. And this just involves creating two material batches for that glass pane. we assign the standard material, that alpha blend type standard material, as the first material that contains all the partial transparency and the dirt and the grid and the specular gloss information. And then the second material batch, we will add the displacement material, and that will create some of the faux refraction, some of that distortion, that visual distortion that you get while looking through the glass. But everything's complete at this point. We'll just export it all as an M3 and load it up in a Galaxy Editor. And here we are in Galaxy Editor, in the cutscene editor, just previewing the model now that it's been imported with all the textures applied. And you can see the glass pane is mostly but not completely transparent. It's still able to pick up a lot of that normal information and specular highlights and some of the reflections from the environmental mask that's being caused by the gloss map. Most notably, though, with that second displacement material that we added to the second material batch to the M3, if we zoom in close, you can see that even looking through the glass causes visual distortion of the background, of the terrain behind it. And so this is how I like to set up glass, at least for now. You don't see, at least I don't play a lot of Starcraft 2, but I haven't seen a whole lot of use of displacement materials used in this sense. Most often you see them on visual effects and explosions and things like that, concussions and shock waves, but being used on kind of a static prop where you just want some visual distortion on something like gloss. I haven't seen too often, but I like the effect quite a bit. But yeah, I hope this was helpful for you. I think this method has a lot of application if you want to create some pretty detailed stained glass or some sort of transparent material or plastic that has a strong relief or some sort of design on top of it. I think this method can work quite well for you.